I guess my points relate to various things people have said, but in terms of what to be doing and that kind of thing, I mean, I don't have any ultimate answers other than any of these issues. We're talking about housing today, but obviously they're not isolated issues. They link to every front that things need to be fought on, and I think it's really important that any people that are coming together, like People's Assembly at the moment does draw massive crowds of people of all sorts of different political thought, but also some people might be very new or very old hands at it all. But like, often you find that that the demands are very no this, no that, but we need to have positive things that we're building for and talking about how the future's going to look, you know, and demanding living wages, living benefits, council housing. So I think it's important that, and then from that, to stay whatever you want to do, whatever party you want to stick with, to stay where real struggle is happening, where grassroots struggle is happening, and probably therefore direct action of some sort, because that's when the major issues are discussed and fought and victories are won, and it's what also makes people work together, because the needs of the situation are so desperate that people don't just bicker or endlessly discuss things in a room, but they're out there doing something and they're finding ways to work together. And for me, that's the major hope. And I know I'm relatively young, and I know that none of us know what the future holds, and who knows what will happen to the Labour Party. I find it very difficult to see where it's going, and I think some sort of split is inevitable, but whatever happens, the left have to get stronger, not weaker from it, and we have to stay related to what Labour was meant to represent, which is workplace stuff as well as all of the people that are outside of workplace struggle, and it has not done that for too long in terms of mainstream politics. And also, no movement's ever perfect. Like, I've tried to find out as much as I can about Labour history, and there's no golden time. To me, I mean, obviously the welfare state is a wonderful thing, but it came because of at a cost, and because it was necessary for, you know, people coming back from war and stuff like that. We can't pretend that anything is ever perfect. It's up to people to constantly think and to fight, really. That's all I'd say.
Progressive tax, do you think it's possible that you could have more houses basically learn, to put it crudely, if you can afford a second home and a third home, you should be taxed proportionally on that. Because after all, if you can afford a whole home, surely you can afford a bit more tax. That was
the point. There is plenty of housing stock, and we've got to get away from this argument. We're going to completely build our way out of everything. And I think the Labour Party has let lots of people down because they haven't addressed that issue.
Yeah.
Right the way through the campaign, it was we've got to build 100,000 houses, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. And they actually didn't speak about the housing stock that is there already.
No,
and if it's in private hands, we should take it back.
Yeah.
We've got situations in London where the land is now more valuable than the house that's built on it, so we'll let it rot. And that is something we really do have to tackle, and that can be done quite quickly. We can renovate, we can rejuvenate areas, and and these are the kind of things. And I do actually think that these are really valuable points that E15 are making. That it's just not simply about building houses. So that's all I've got to say.
The next step for me personally is to see the building of a movement, of people, and ultimately, yes, to make our voices heard in that movement and to contribute to it, but ultimately to also, in a sense, if it's a real radical left movement, to also appreciate that if people move a certain way, we need to go where that's happening, And I really like your militancy at the back, by the way. I thought that was a very good contribution. Thank you very much. Serve the people.
Thanks, Ben.
Well, just to pick up a few of the points, I do think building more houses is very important, I really don't think we should understate that. It isn't the only important thing, and I agree with you. I agree with what Ruth said about empty houses. I think it was 700,000 houses which are empty, something like that. I mean, 750,000 in England. And of course, many of the lousy landlords do deserve to have their property taken back and brought under public ownership, and with all the conditions that go with that. I agree with that. But the level of house building in this country has bumped along ever since Blair's time at about the level it was in the 1920s. And about 120,000. We need 50,000 in order just to meet annual demand. If we're going to meet the waiting list in the council sector and housing association, it is at least half as much again as that. I mean, you cannot get away from that. There is a tremendous shortage, and it has been used by the Tories to drive people into what they would prefer, home ownership, or into the private rented sector. So providing an adequate number of housing for, as I say, it is a quarter to a third of the population, and that is 15 to 20 million people who at the moment are not living in satisfactory housing, which is good quality housing, which is secure, where the rents are reasonable and where repairs are properly done. I mean, that is an enormous need. So I don't think you should play down building more houses. I really do think it's crucial. And if you want to bring down house prices in general, the only way to do that is to have a bigger housing stock. If demand goes up for home ownership and there is an artificial scarcity of supply, prices will go up inevitably, and government really can do very little about it. Can I just very quickly pick up one or two other points, and particularly with regard to the Labour Party? I mean, I agree with what Ben and Ruth are saying, that it's not a matter of helping the Labour Party out, it's the other way round. We have to do what people need. We have to listen to those needs, we have to engage with them, and we have to struggle with them. Not just tweet, not just send emails, but actually get shoulder to shoulder and do it on a mass scale if we're really going to have an effect. But I will say this about the Labour Party, this is my last comment. The Labour Party isn't something you can just kick away. There is only one party in this country at the present time. Things can change, I accept that, but there's only one party that has the coverage, the magnitude, and the potential power to stop the Tories in its tracks. There is no other remote party on the horizon, and I include in this UKIP, which conceivably would actually be able to do this. So we have got to revolutionise, we've got to radicalise the Labour Party, but that can only happen if it reaches out to people in need. I absolutely agree with that. And frankly, one of the most effective ways of doing this is to change the selection procedure for MPs, so that they become more accountable, not to the whips in the House of Commons, but accountable to the people who actually elected them. And a right of recall, which was actually a right of recall bill, which was actually put forward by a Tory MP, Zach Goldsmith, I think is absolutely needed, so that if people are fed up with their MP, if they can collect enough signatures, they can get another election at which someone can stand against their MP. And within the party, we need a new reselection procedure, because far too many Labour MPs are simply careerists who are looking to promote their prospects of becoming a minister, and that is really dragging the party down. There have always been a number of people like this, but it has been much larger in the last 2 or 3 decades, and we fundamentally need to change that. So we need a Labour Party, but a absolutely transformed Labour Party, and with people in it who are dedicated to the cause and not to themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, here it is.